they didn't correlate them into the book. And when I placed them in the book, they were all at the one syllable book. None of it stuck. Plus the sight words didn't stick either.
Can I ask a question, Steve?
Yeah.
Would they show up on a test as knowing their phonics?
Oh, they might. If they might do pretty well on the tower.
What about like on a STAR test or something like that? Would they show up as being able to read?
They definitely show for phonics stuff. They'd show.
They would show they could do multi-syllable words even.
Yeah. I mean, I've had kids like know the phonics. Like I said, this particular approach, know the phonics, can't apply it. So I'll check and I'll go, wow, they know the green walkers, they know the diphthongs. When I go to read, they're start to.
When you say green walkers, what would the other programs call that?
They'd call that vowel teams or vowel pairs. There's lots of vowel pairs. What I've done is broken them down to diphthongs, green, yellows, and reds, but everyone else calls them just vowel pairs.
And the green, yellows, and reds.
I call them green, yellows, and reds.
It's the difficulty of them, correct?
Yeah, green is, a little easier than yellows, a little easier than reds. Okay, so this is crucial. Now, does every kid have problems in these areas? I don't.
No.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Good for you. Don't ever let an authority buffalo you into the wrong answer. Yeah, no, you have kids born with it. Can all of them read that are born with it?
Some of them.
Some of them, but can all?
No.
Because they haven't been, nobody taught him anything. Nobody read to him at home or her at home. But that's the kid you want to tutor. Holy cow. 4 years growth in 2 months. Amazing what you can do. Number one thing for that kind of kid is, are the parents talking to him a lot and reading? Because then what they have is this high vocabulary, and now once we start using the phonics, we open up that high vocabulary. Okay? So, all right, so the start of my lesson, I give sounds. R, k, l, f. The kid will echo and point. I'm making sure that it's coming in properly. Now that it's coming in properly, I then move to Broca's or the sound area and start pointing the sounds quickly to get that automatic. Okay. All right. So that's the start of the plan. Does that make sense? Mouth and point. And you have the new concept, which is teaching the new phonics concept. Okay. And your lesson will reflect that. So if you're at a spelling rule like the bully rule, you'll be reviewing and you're blending everything they know up to that, and you'll be then using that spelling rule in the lesson. And the lessons are all carved out for you. As long as you follow that lesson plan, you can't go wrong. And keep in mind, I want at least 20 minutes reading, which means if you're taking too much time, when there's at least 20 minutes left, you stop what you're doing and go to reading. I'm a reading program, not a phonics program. Though I have one of the strongest phonics programs. One of the things most of the programs I researched, really didn't read from books. The most they do is have 10 minutes of reading words or a few sentences, but no books. So that's one of the first things I decided to do after 25 years is write series. I wrote 12, my son wrote 2. So we have lots of series. Okay, so it comes in properly when you say the sound. You point, this area is working. We then do the new concept, and then we do the tough part, step tracking. That's when I go fist, make it fast. At, it, to at. Do you remember that? Is that working this area that goes, oh, I know the word, or this area of your sounds? Matt? You get it? Yeah. Well, if I do real words, absolutely. But what if I do nonsense words? Like fist to fust. Is it working this area? The word where I know that word? No. It's working, really overworking this area. And that's why that's so powerful. So when you're going whist, make it west. Pass, or nast, make it rast, make it rust, make it. This area's got to go saying the sounds, and it's really getting this area working. and this area because they have to remember the sound. So, I mean, it's the best way to get that phonological problem resolved, is step tracking. Because you're really going quickly through the sound. And when you're going, all right, Steve, you got the word, there's fast out there, and we're gonna make it fust. He's gotta go fust. Notice he's saying each sound clearly. It's all fine-tuned in this area. Now, when I build words and read it, they're real words, or, well, no, these will be nonsense words, so it's the same thing. So when I'm building nonsense words, they're again working, the Wernicke's doesn't come, initially they'll try to make a word out of it, and I'll say, no, so, fust. Okay, well, no, these are all nonsense words. I call them Martian words, they're Martian words. Those areas are really fine-tuning phonological and the sounding out area. See, the phonological, got words, sounds gotta come in properly. That's, by the way, one of the major problems. Teachers don't know their sounds, number one. And they put us after the sounds. So, all right, so when we're doing the sounding out, let's make it Russ, but we're really fine-tuning that. And then when we build it, we're really fine-tuning it. Okay. So then logically next, by the way, we're changing brain centers as we go, which I'll end with. All right, so now we're at spelling. In spelling, we're cleaning up Heschel's gyri, the auditory. So when I go bat, and they're close to, and they go bat, bat. This area, the auditory area, the hearing the clear sounds is what's being worked with Broca's, hearing that. And then this word then you'll look at it and go, oh, I recognize the word. Unfortunately, that's not working. So they don't go, I know that word. Really? You know, they'll just look at me, is that right? Yeah, it is. Sound it out. But what you're working, they don't know, you know, when I give them the word craft. Craft. Is that the word? Yeah, you did the sounds. So the spelling is really fine-tuning the phonological processor and stimulating the word form area, but it's just not working for the kids. All right, so now we go to reading. This is where it's all together. This is the main event. This is what's not being done enough of. And the reason it's not is there's a lot of stupid books written, or stupid things up Effie Tiff on the Hill, which I do at my kindergarten, the cab. I do, you know, you have to start with just 4 concepts of vowel. You're not gonna do War and Peace. So it's gotta be very simple. But as we move into first grade, we have them that mean to have stories, etc. And there's more and more series like that are better. So there you're now sounding out words. Sounding out words, r, at, I know that word, rap. Ing, I know that word, thing. Sh, up, I know that word, shut. Then I see it in reading, I go sh, up, ing. My word formulary is not firing, even though I just read it. I don't remember. It's the case with my guy. He's remembering more. I'm hoping we're getting this word formulary firing. He's starting to remember more words. So the reading is now integrating this and stimulating the word formula. Now when you do beat the clock, you're really stimulating the word formula. It's really getting that going because you're moving quicker and quicker, one cold first time and then 4 repeats. That's really stimulating. And writing with kids who can't read, initially they're telling you a little summary, the who, what, where, and when, and you're writing it and then showing COPS, capital, organization, punctuation, spell, and then you slowly turn over sentences to them. So, but that's hard. I mean, if they can't spell a word, that's hard. So initially, I start by having them tell it to me orally and write it and show them, you know, how sentences are formed. And that, when we're writing, is requiring the whole hemisphere And the word form area, or the Broca's area, which is right next, stimulates right next to the handwriting area, which is up top here on the motor area. And so if you have motor problems, you're not gonna write. If you have word form area problems, you're gonna spell everything wrong. I mean, writing requires a lot to get. Okay, so we start with the mouth, making sure it's in and clear, then we point, getting it faster, the sounds. We have new concept, which tells them what we're gonna be doing with the book or spelling. And then when we do step tracking, fast fist, we're making this really fine-tuned. And then when we do the blending of nonsense words, we're really making this fine-tuned. And now we can apply those skills and now spelling real words and reading real words because we've solved some of the phonological problems. Okay? All right. Let's look neurologically what's happening when you hear the sounds, you're hidden here. Hear the sounds and they point. That's hidden right here in the phonological area, the Heschel's gyri, and of course the motor strips involved because they're pointing. So when I go, okay, when I point and they read, that's hitting the visual part of the brain, which is back here, not the word form area, but the visual part, which is here. When I give the new concept, it's hitting the whole brain, especially the forebrain because it's a thoughtful process. When I go to saying the sounds, it's very much, or syllables, it's very much here again, auditory. And then when I build it, it's back to visual and here. When I go to spelling, it's more in this area. I'm sounding out words and then spelling, so it's hitting the auditory. When we're reading, it's hitting this here in the full brain going, does this make sense? So we're changing brain centers on purpose. That was how I set this up, so that we're not overtaxing a particular brain center. Okay, and a couple words summarize what I just said. Just kidding. Let's start with going through the plan and try to talk a bit about what we're hitting. So, like when we're saying the sounds, when we're pointing, what that's. Just try to as best you can.